Every year around the Super Bowl, we do this thing. An artist gets announced, social media explodes, and suddenly everyone's convinced the fate of the country is riding on a halftime show. I don't think that's true. And I think focusing on the show actually keeps us from seeing the real problem. Let's take a closer look. Part of me says, fine, air it. I probably won't watch it anyway. I've skipped halftime shows before, and I'll skip them again. Changing the channel is easy. But another part of me looks at the bigger picture and thinks, how far down the road have we gone that this even feels normal? And that's where the real issue begins. Because the problem is not the halftime show. It's not the artist. It's not the genre. It's not even the explicit content argument, because the NFL is still bound by broadcast standards, and everything that goes on the air is carefully sanitized. Those debates are surface level. They miss the point. The deeper issue is that what once lived at the cultural margins now sits comfortably at the center. Not quietly, not reluctantly, but proudly. Things that would have shocked previous generations barely register today, not because people are worse than they used to be, but because the cultural guardrails are gone. And when a society stops blushing, it's not because it's become enlightened. It's because something inside it has grown numb. Now let me be clear about something. I don't believe censorship is the answer. History teaches the opposite lesson. External restraint without internal conviction doesn't produce virtue, it produces rebellion. You can force compliance for a while, but you can't manufacture repentance. You can regulate behavior, but you cannot regenerate a soul. Censorship might suppress symptoms, but it never heals the disease. The truth is, culture doesn't change because the right rules are imposed. Culture changes because people change, and people don't change because they're scolded, silenced, or managed. They change because their hearts are transformed. That's why no amount of outrage over a halftime show is going to fix what's broken. What we're witnessing isn't really an entertainment problem. It's not even a morality problem in the narrow sense. It's a spiritual problem. A nation that loses its moral center will inevitably celebrate things that once would have caused pause. The drift always shows up in art, long after it's already taken root in belief. And I'm not saying this in anger. I'm saying it with a kind of sadness. When what once shocked us now barely registers, when excess becomes celebration, at some point you have to admit we're pretty far down debauchery road. So what's the answer? We don't need better or alternative halftime shows. We don't need stricter speech codes. We don't need cultural referees policing every performance. We need God. And more specifically, we need Jesus Christ, because lasting change has always moved from the inside out. Christianity didn't transform the ancient world by censoring the Colosseum. It transformed it one heart at a time, quietly, patiently, inconveniently, through repentance, grace, and truth. So yes, I may change the channel, but I won't pretend that changing the channel changes the culture. Only changed hearts do that. The problem is not the halftime show. The problem is who or what we're worshiping. And the solution has never been found on a stage. I'm Wayne, and that's my worldview. What's yours? Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'm Wayne, and that's my worldview. What's yours?